In lesson 6.1, we're going to learn about the basics of a Next.js application. And the first step is to set it up. So what you want to do is open this GitHub link. This is a starter Next.js app which we'll build off of to create our own AI websites. What you want to do is click the code button, press create code space on main, and what it'll do is it'll create basically a clone or a copy of all this code for you to edit. And now it's just getting itself started. It's going to load in all these files, and then what's going to end up happening is if you wait a couple seconds, something's going to pop up in this terminal. Yeah, right here. And then after this, just give it a second. What's going to happen is it's going to run some starter commands which help start up the app. So it's going to run something called npm install right here, which installs all the basic info you need to start coding. So this installation process just takes a couple minutes, like 2 or 3. So once that's done, let's continue. Here we go. It looks like it's done installing. So what we'll do is we're gonna highlight this and we're gonna copy this and run npm and run dev. And what this does is it runs basically a not production build, but a pre-production build of your website, which allows you to test it really effectively. So I'm just gonna run that real quick. And it prompts us to open in the browser. Let's see what it looks like. This just takes a second. There we go. This is our example website. As you can see, we have welcome to Nivaro, a couple pages, and this is just the skeleton for your AI website. And the final step in the installation is adding your API key. So the first thing you do to do that is go to this env file. It should be in the base of this whole code, not inside any folders. It's just there. Open that up, and then you want to type your API key here, and you want to keep it a secret. Also, you want to wrap your API key in these little quotes so that JavaScript knows that we're dealing with the string here. And it usually starts with SK, and then fill in everything else afterwards. Now we're gonna understand the basic layout of the app. First things first, let's look at the app folder. This is the app folder, and in here we can see a page TSX and the layout. What these two represent are the intro screen or the landing page of your website. So in this page.tsx file, we have the intro, spacing, and chatbot components. And don't worry too much about what that means, but just know that here is where the content is first displayed when you enter the screen. And another thing inside the app folder that you can add is new folders with different names, with different page files in them. And what that does is it allows you to make multiple pages. So if I want to navigate to this example page screen, I'll click example here, and as you can see in the URL, it added this little backslash. So whenever you create a new folder inside this app folder and name it whatever you want to call it, you can navigate to it by adding a backslash and then the name of that folder. Just make sure the folder you add has a page.tsx inside. And what that allows to happen is for different components to be called inside. Next, we're going to talk about components. A component, at its most basic level, is a reusable block of code. In our HTML websites, you might have noticed there was a lot of repetition. And to avoid that, we can make components. For instance, we can see on this example page up here, the thing that's displaying is an about me. And if we look at the page.tsx for that, it's pretty obvious that that should show up because we called the about components. And now let's look at the about component itself. It'll be inside this components folder. I'll click about, and over here you can see we're exporting a function and we named it about, and inside of here we just have some basic HTML, and This basic HTML can be easily reused many times throughout our website. So just to demonstrate that, I'm going to add this little about to our example screen one more time just by pasting it down here. And what that does, as you can see, is that we have multiple about me's now. And finally, we have the public folder. The public folder is unlike the components and app folder because you don't put code in there. You just put images and different components you might need, different parts of your code perhaps. So if we navigate to the intro, you can see this little Nivaro star. And because this isn't something we can like find in our code itself, we have to save it inside of our code. So that's what I did here. I saved it as a JPEG, and we called this inside of a component, the intro component. And you can see the source is navartechnologies.jpg. And yeah, there's many other folders like node modules and lib over here and the next folder. Don't worry about those because all these commands in the terminal will handle all of that work for you. You don't have to edit them yourself. And yeah, that's just a basic rundown of the Next.js application we'll be editing to make our AI websites. Thank you and see you in 6.2.